So welcome everyone to our inaugural True Community Call. My name is Susie Westrup, and I'm the Director of Client Services with True. We're so excited you're here, and this format is new for us. Since we completed the True Core Concepts webinar series, which you can find recordings of under the education section of usgbc.org, we are now pivoting to a more informal meeting. Our goal of these calls is to foster our True community by sharing real-life challenges and success stories, as well as resources and updates that will help you, our True community, to implement True in the community. We also want you to connect with each other, so please use the chat box to introduce yourself and virtual network if you'd like. We'll also be taking questions later, so please put those in the chat as well. My colleagues, which I will introduce in just a moment, will be helping me to manage that. So thank you, Celeste. So I'm going to kick things off today, but before we move into our first True Talk with Sue Beets-Atkinson, and then Emily will provide an overview of the True program updates, including our latest, which is our certification planning tool. Finally, we'll wrap up with some discussion and community Q&A. So while we know that there are many of you in our True community who have been working on zero waste for decades, we're also welcoming new members to the community daily. So I'd just like to remind everybody, in case a friend sent you this link and you don't know why you're here, True is USGBC and GBCI's zero waste program, which is designed to drive sustainable and resilient circular economies through upstream waste reduction. I encourage you to check out all of the free resources on our website, including project profiles of our certified projects, information on our professional credential, the True Advisor, and our certification guide, rating system, and scorecard. In addition to our resources on the website, I work with these 8 terrific human resources to grow, develop, and deliver True to you, our community. We have a couple of interns, Christina and John, working with us now, and Michaela has also joined our certification operations team in the past few months. Beyond our internal True team, there's a greater community as well, ready to connect with you in our True LinkedIn group. I encourage you to join our group and connect with industry peers to find and crowdsource answers to your zero waste challenges and to help celebrate your zero waste successes. In addition, we have also launched a True page on LinkedIn altogether. So not just the community group that is private, but a whole group that will be providing updates to your LinkedIn feed as well. And finally, if you're a True Advisor, you can add Twitter and LinkedIn profiles to your True Advisor public profile in our company directory. So you can see where you can find those if you're a True Advisor. Make sure you link your public profile into those sort of more outward facing opportunities on Twitter and LinkedIn. So I'm no Steve Kornacki, but I do have a couple of poll questions for you guys, the audience. The first one is so we can better understand who's joining us as a part of this call. And the second is for your voice to be heard. Since we're just getting started with this format of being a community call, we want them to be valuable for you. So please let us know in the second question what you're looking to gain from attending these calls. You can pick more than one response here. I'll give it just a minute for people to go ahead and add these in. I can see we have 50 participants now, so thanks everybody for logging in. Thanks for launching that poll, Emily. It's fun to see who's here. All right, so we've got a majority of environmental or zero waste consultants. And next is internal for companies pursuing zero waste. That's awesome. And then finally, we've got some other like community participants, whether it's other nonprofits, NGOs, or municipalities. If you are other and we missed that, please feel free to introduce yourself in the chat so that we know we can be sure to include you. Great. So on the what we're looking to get most out of these calls, so this will help form our agendas for these calls going forward. True tools and resources. So that makes me happy because there's definitely going to be a good bit of that today that Emily's going to share with you in just a bit. And then, the next highest is true user experiences and best practices, which is about where we are going to go in a second with my friend Sue Beets-Atkinson. So go ahead and get right into that next. So I have the pleasure of welcoming not only True Advisor, True Assessor, but also True Advisory Council Chair, Sue Beets-Atkinson, to our call today. Thank you so much, Sue, for joining us. So Sue is the Senior Director of Sustainability at SBM Corporation. And I've known Sue for about 2 years now, since I got started with True, but her contributions to True and Zero Waste go long before we both, long before we met. So I would just like to have some time, this True Talk with Sue today. So Sue, over to you. How did you get your start in zero waste?
Well, number one, thank you for having me. I'm excited about the community call. We talked about this a couple months ago, on the True Advisors call, because we tend to get taken away from business and start talking about waste and how do we get rid of it. So I'm glad to have everybody here. And how did I get started? I actually have a background in restaurants. Almost 25 years in restaurants, and I was tired of it. It's hard, tedious work.
Yeah.
And I was lucky enough that I mentioned to a friend that, hey, I'm looking for something different. I want to think outside the box, do something other than food. And she said, hey, we're a janitorial company, and our client, Hewlett Packard in Roseville, California, is paying $35,000 a month for their trash bill. And this was in 1993. I'm aging myself. And they agreed they didn't want to throw things away even back then. They had a really, really amazing man. His name was Larry Ellis, who was running the facilities department. And he said, I am willing to invest in diverting this material. I don't even think he said divert it, getting it out of the trash. And it was pallets and polystyrene and cardboard. And if you can imagine back then, every sheet of paper had to be sorted into white newspaper or glossies. There was no pastels. There was no color. If there was too much printed color, you couldn't recycle it in white paper back then. So I started, in the first month, we saved like $10,000. And so I got to add a person. Then the next month I saved more money and I added a vertical baler. And they invested heavily in doing the right thing. And so I was a janitorial provider working for Hewlett Packard for about 6 years as a contractor. In that time, we expanded beyond just Roseville to Lincoln, California, Santa Rosa, California. We branched out to other customers. We had NEC, which has gone under now, Apple and Intel, and just started branching out. And I think that we started with was what we called milk runs. We had a group, we actually created a group of people local to Sacramento, and we created this group. It was called BRAG, Business Recyclers Action Group. I don't know if Gary Liss is on, but huge groups, milk runs. So I had a lot of polystyrene. You might have had polyethylene. So you brought me the polyethylene. Actually, you brought me the polystyrene. I gave you my polyethylene. And we did that for a lot of businesses, and it really made a difference. And so in that first 6 years, I hit over 90% diversion at that Roseville site. And it was just constantly trying new things. One of the things, I went to the California Resource Recovery Association conference, my first one. I had no background in recycling. I just like to I have a puzzle. Let's figure this out. And so I had, and this is old, but computers used to have a micro, it was a metallic bag that had like 4 different layers, definitely multi-layered. I had a problem with this. I had like 20,000 pounds of this a month. And so big problem. And I stapled pieces of that to my business cards as I handed them out. So you've got to be creative in what we do. And this is part of that community direction. I left SBM to work for Hewlett Packard. I managed the entire North America's non-hazardous waste program. And by the end of my 4 years there, I had us at a total of 91% diversion out of 24 or 25 locations, about 25 million square feet. So made a difference. Changes in HP. So I left and came back to SBM, and I've been here for a little over 17 years now. So 27 years playing in the trash. Very excited about zero waste and the fact that we've gone from individuals making change to creating the US Zero Waste Business Council to merging with the US GBC and GBCI to create True. And the last thing I want to state really with that question was, I don't consider myself a consultant. I'm a service provider. I work for my clients, and I get to communicate and share best known methods, things that work, things that don't work. So thank you.
No, that's great. It's fun to hear, especially, working with companies who are just getting started on this journey, and they are so intimidated sometimes by these higher rates of diversion that we're seeking. And so hearing how much you've been able to do that in so many locations is truly inspiring. And we definitely appreciate that. So I think out of all of these years, that you've been doing this, you've done a lot, but what's going on now? Like what's the hardest thing you're working on now, or what are you working on most?
Great question. I think the direction that we need to go, number one, you have to start somewhere. I've started sites at 0% diversion. I've got sites that are 35% diversion. Just depends on how things are working. My main focus is really about redesign. It's looking at, and I have a lot of life science clients that we have a lot of plastics, and it hurts my heart on how much of it doesn't have a home. And I agree with China not, I'm going to get blasted by this. I agree with China not accepting our quote unquote garbage that we're sending with materials, because we need to find a home for things here in the United States. We need to have work in the United States. And one of these is redesigning. So it's working with procurement, looking at upstream on, can I get rid of these 3 through 7 plastics and make them where you've got a bulk of material, all the same type, possibly even the same color. The lids need to be the same plastic as the bottoms, and really try and move these to sort of 1 and 2 plastics. Now, that's not going to work for everything. What are the other outlets that we have? It might not be that I can recycle those easily, but I might have to densify it or bale it. Where can I find places that are close to home where my businesses are? And if not, could I even use a rail car perhaps to ship those to the vendors? So that's our big push, working with procurement. Plastics is a big one, but it really is every type of material that we're generating. How do we get rid of that? How do we simplify it? And realistically, can I stop ordering it?
Yeah. Well, I think you hit on, not to bring it back to the true rating system, right? But you hit on two of our big pieces there, right? We all follow this the hierarchy of highest and best use, and redesign is obviously at the very top of that. That's what we need to be doing. But purchasing, so you don't have to think about how you're going to be managing it if it doesn't even come into the place in the first place. So I love that too. I like to think, hopefully, if you're not understanding what 1 through 7 mean and you're on this call, this is the place to learn. So let me just kind of, so that we can be in a equitable learning environment, but do it for yourself. Like, look at the thing that I hate the most is my yogurt container, because I can't recycle it in my community. And look at the lid and see the triangle and see the number on it, and look at the bottom, and they're different, much to like what Sue was saying. So kind of take that as an example into your everyday, and then you get to realize what if we could go to that yogurt company and we could get them to start purchasing, a one or a two and have it be the same for the lid and the bottom, then there goes a bunch of waste that isn't making it into, our opportunities for circularity with recycling. And also, I support what you're saying, Sue. I think a lot of what some of our new administration is trying to do is to innovate our way to a solution for all of this waste that we now have to manage domestically, because we can't send it away anymore. And so hopefully, this forum can be a place where we talk about some of those new technologies, or new, even if it's not a technology, if it's more of just a community, like, oh, like you're with your milk run, I know that that person is taking that material and they need more of it to make it valuable, right? To have a product to make it worth recycling. So, oh, this is so great. Thank you so much for sharing all this. So, I think, you shared a little bit about the challenge, right? And this is all about kind of the materials that we manage. But what about the people side of the equation? I think that is when we, especially at USGBC, we work with a lot of people who are doing energy efficiency, or water efficiency, which requires technology and infrastructure. But waste is such a behavioral thing. So how are you working with your customers, and your community to talk about zero waste and to advance it?
Great question. I want to go back 1 second to the plastic resins.
Of course.
And I know that we've got a great amount of people on. If you're new to this, that triangle that we see on all of those items does not mean it's recyclable. And it's very misleading and it needs to change. But it just means that that's the plastic resin, not the recyclability. So I wanted to touch on that. Boy, people, isn't that the missing equation in everything that we're trying to do, right? Um, I've always thought of people as 100%, right? So if I can hit 80% of the population with a simple, easy message that allows them to think a little bit differently about what they generate, or why they generate it, or what they're going to do with it, that everything I pick up, and I have this problem in my home actually, of I bought this, where am I going to put it? But same thing applies in a business or anywhere that we're at, including our home, since a lot of us are working from home, is what am I going to do? How do I educate you about why this is important? And in the business, it's about signage and communication and having events and trying to make things fun, using technology. There's some great AI technology that helps partner people with making the right decision. I do think it's signage. I think we've got to get away from putting signs at the bottom of containers, expecting somebody to lean over and look at them. That's not going to happen. So the sooner we change that philosophy of where I'm going to put stickers, I'm trying very hard to stay away from stickers, because I'm sure all of you are aware that it's just a constantly moving commodity stream out there, whether you're able to source separate because of where you're at and able to separate that way, or if you've got to do a mixed recycling. And so how do I eliminate that contamination that exists? Other things I like to do is publicly do waste analysis so people can see what we're digging through. And then we've got to stop wish cycling. I wish it could be recycled. So if I put it in the recycling, they will notice it's in here, instead of them creating contamination and more cost for the overall program. So I think that it really is all about the people. If I can, as a service provider, whoever's managing the program, look at how it's set up in the back of house and everything else, but the signage has got to be good. It shouldn't have many words. It's got to be bright, beautiful pictures that help me put things quickly in the right bin. I think that makes a difference. In the past, we've done like a green bag event where we communicate. I'm in California, and some of it is very confusing. If you're in San Francisco, there's like 9 different counties that do 9 different things. Number one, hello, municipalities, let's communicate with each other so you're not making it so difficult. Because if I do it at home, I should be able to do it at work, but that's not really true. So there's a lot in there.
Awesome. So how about so that was kind of like the everyday person. What about sort of some of the leadership you work with in these organizations, and how do they begin to see the value of zero waste targets and goals? Is that something that you're helping to, helping them to realize?
Definitely trying. Some are a lot more open to it than a lot of others.
Mhm.
I haven't found a pattern. It becomes old, new people,
Yeah.
younger generations really aggressive, but they really are not always. I think with a business, you've got to worry about money,
Yeah.
even though they've got corporate goals and they've got requirements and the employees and retention and hiring the best and brightest. I think a lot of these folks, depending on who you're working with. So, realistically, in a business, I'm working with facilities, EHS, and possibly procurement. Procurement almost always is about money,
Mhm.
and so is facilities because they're working off a tough budget. And then usually EHS has got a goal. How do they meet their goal? And it makes it very hard when EHS doesn't control the money to help meet their goal. Very difficult. I think one of the things that I do, and this is a good statement that can work in most applications, is if I'm talking to you, Susie, and I'm saying, so you have a waste stream. If you pay $150 a ton to landfill an item, and I can get recycling, let's say for 75 or $50 a ton, right there for every ton I can recycle, I'm saving $75 from your bill. Sometimes that works, other times it doesn't. You definitely need to know the pricing that's associated with your recycling wherever you're located. But it's a good starting point to sort of start that mentality of how do I make this click for that person. Um, Sometimes it's simple things, right? Um, One of the groups that we work with, and we were talking about single-use plastics. That's a big buzz right now. Sustainable packaging is another big buzz. And so, how do we look at that? One thing is to be ahead of the game. So, as a janitorial company, we're actually finalizing a sustainable packaging white paper that we've created, and we went through top 80% of our spend on toilet paper, paper towels, um, chemical bottles, all of those things to see what are we doing with them, how many layers, if you will, of packaging exist. And so good news, we found that most of these large suppliers, Kimberly Clark, Georgia Pacific, Gojo, Heritage Bags, have all done a great job already before you even start asking them to look at redesign. Um, but then you run into even the element of I have coreless toilet paper, so that means there's no core. Technically, they should run out completely, and there's no waste. You got to look at contracts with that because most of our contracts for janitorial say I can get down to 25% and then I have to change the roll. Well, what's the point of coreless toilet paper if I'm getting rid of the toilet paper, right? So we're looking at ways that we can handle that. But as a packaging item, and it's interesting, they found that they save more in shipping, stacking, sort of like the Walmart analysis that they did of all their vendors. But they've gone to a shrink wrap that shrinks all of that together. It protects it because it's plastic if something drips on it or leaks on it. But at a business, it's much harder for me to recycle that plastic. Then what's worse with that is they use a blue color shrink wrap because it's pretty, in my opinion. And so I've got to figure out, okay, that is better space wise for my cardboard than my cardboard, but I can recycle my cardboard. So it really looks at that sustainable management model of I'm creating less waste this way. So now I've got to find ways that I can get that recycled. One way, and this is a simpler way, is can I get someone in staff that's willing to sort of run this material that's clean to a grocery store because they're accepting that number 4 plastic that's an LDPE or shrink wrap or stretch wrap that's an outlet. Or I could try and do a milk run with that company and try and find something they mutually need that I mutually need. So it's sort of how we communicate throughout businesses. So there's a lot going on um, about the different commodities, people, you name it. But I think that with this team, with this group, as we identify and as you use the chat mode, put those ideas in there that I need help with this, or I'd like to talk about this. And my thought with Susie and the True team is let's bring some experts to you so you can learn about different things.
Mhm.
So my take.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I think that if you're just getting started and you need to know what this data is, right? To bring to people if they're making decisions informed by data, right? When you talk about the markets for recycling, or maybe you just need to know their values. Do they have this zero waste goal that they're gonna invest in? So there isn't really that, silver bullet for every single type of client. So get to know them, get to know kind of who you're working with and what drives it. And sounds like Sue gave us a lot of examples of how you can hit a few of those different types of motivations. So I think the last thing I want to touch on, Sue, is just that we know that this is not just your job, but it is who you are. You mentioned it already just a little bit, with at home, right? As when we bring things home, we have to kind of walk the walk. So I know you've accomplished so much in your professional career, but how does this work and passion for zero waste influence your family and friends?
Depends on who it is. Um, they either love it or hate it. My daughter has grown up, gosh, she's 38, has grown up with it all her life. And so she's outstanding at composting and recycling and communicating. And she works at a school and she brings things home to add to her own recycling. At my home, I live where we have a dirty MRF. And a dirty MRF means that I have one trash can and I get to put everything in it, but that doesn't mean that it gets recycled well. So an example is, let's say I have junk mail. I don't have a lot of it because I try and cancel a lot of it. But and then if I put coffee grounds on top of that junk mail, I now have mush that's not going to be recycled. So at my house, the only things allowed in the trash are realistically tin cans and a plastic that I can't recycle. I have 7 streams that I keep separate at my house. One of them we started almost 2 years ago for the grocery stores is bags, bread bags, vegetable bags, which we use reusables unless it's a really wet item. Um, Meat bags, those things are all separate. I keep all my junk mail. I keep all of, and where I live, you've got to keep all your cans, bottles, and glass all separated. We're not allowed to mix coffee jug or milk jug with our depositable items. So those get separated. But yeah, I believe in it. My kids somewhat believe in it. It's even goes to where we go into the grocery store and you've got to evaluate, okay, if I'm doing yogurt, you mentioned yogurt. We buy the bigger container of yogurt and then we use reusables to take it to work for our lunches. It's all about how we think. It's about how we do. I just got salt for our solar water heater, and all the bags sit there upside down so that they'll dry out, and then they get added to my grocery run. So it's just how you think and how you believe. Um, there's things that I throw away, like I'm diabetic, and so I have to do insulin. So I have a needle that I unfortunately have to do, but where I can reuse items, I reuse items so that I tend to look in the trash can before I dump it to say, wow, that got in the wrong place. Or I should have bought that in bulk. So it's just about, it's how we think. And to be totally honest, we have a newborn baby in the house. He's a week old, 2 weeks old. And we have a 2-year-old. So we have diapers, unfortunately. We tried reusable diapers, cloth diapers with a cover, and it didn't work well. And now the 2-year-old's smart enough to take them off. So it just adds to the fun. But it's constantly evolving what we do, why we buy it, what we do with it. And one other thing I highly recommend, so a lot of takeout, we make sure that if you're using an app, it physically states that I do not want disposables. I don't want utensils. I don't need your soy sauce, so that you're eliminating things that you have the potential for change for. And sometimes I'm hoping that at some point they're going to have a box that I can click that I don't need to write that in, but the future.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I know some groups are working on that as well. Well, Sue, thank you so much for your candor and just for being such a leader at work, at home, and for True as well. We can't thank you enough for all that you've done for the program and for the entire zero waste movement. So thanks for sharing. I know everybody's learned a lot. I can see the chat box is going crazy. You've certainly sparked some discussion, which is exactly what we're trying to do here. So thank you again so much, Sue. We'll talk to you real soon, and I'll turn things back over to Emily now.
Excellent. Thank you so much for having me, and I appreciate what you guys are doing. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Hi, everyone. That was a really great conversation. Thanks so much, Sue and Susie. And I've been working with Sue for a long time, and never cease to learn something new from her. So I'm the program manager here at True Certification. I manage the day-to-day operations and ongoing evolution of the certification. And today I'm going to share just some general program updates and also go over a new tool that we have for you. So I'm calling this first part in case you missed it. We thought that it would be good for our first call to do a recap of all of the new things and news that we've had in the last year or so, just because there's so much that's been going on. So first I want to highlight all of the educational resources we currently have available on True. As of February, we have completed a series of webinar called Core Concepts, which Susie touched upon earlier. Those go into a little more depth on all of the categories in the True rating system, and also Certified Projects shared their case studies and best practices on the credits in the categories. So it's a really great resource. And each of these are converted into a course you can get CE hours for, and they're available for free on the Education Hub, on the USGBC Education Hub, which is the first link on the bottom of your screen. We recommend when you get there to narrow or filter down to True. You can do that with some of the filters on the left-hand side. We also have recordings of other virtual events and webinars, and some certification case studies as well that have CE attached in case you're looking for those. For more videos on True and all of our programs, you can visit the USGBC YouTube. We have our inaugural True Town Hall we did last summer. The recording is there. We also have that recording posted to our website. And finally, we have tons of helpful articles on our website on a wide range of topics. For example, True news and announcements, articles about the positive impacts of zero waste and those in the True community, and also articles to help give you information on the certification process and what to expect and how to prepare. So the pandemic presented a variety of challenges to project teams, and I'm sure to some of you as well. Many facilities participating in True had altered or halted operations for the safety of their staff. In addition, certain parts of resource management infrastructure became unavailable temporarily, and additional waste streams were created as safety protocols increased. So our efforts to respond to the pandemic focused on providing you industry-specific resources and process adaptations with the goal of steadying the ship while focusing on the health and safety of all people involved in resource management and certification activities. So we did a series of True and GBCI articles where we compiled and shared resources offering specific guidance on best practices to make health and safety an even stronger priority, while also at the same time maintaining high diversion performance. We also had articles outlining how the True rating system inherently provides avenues to address the COVID-19 crisis, keeping health and safety in mind. In addition, we adapted our certification process and requirements to ensure your certification stays on track. We immediately amended the review process to suspend the on-site assessment portion of the process in order to help maintain social distance. We've also been demonstrating a lot of flexibility for projects on data and credit requirements. We've developed different solutions and adaptations to help you continue your pursuit or maintenance of True certification despite any operational impacts you may have had due to the pandemic. So we certainly understand that diversion performance may have been impacted due to circumstances outside of your control. We're here to help. We're working with all registered and certified projects on solutions to address these challenges, while also enabling you to keep on track for certification. So one example is it's totally okay to have some months with zeros in your 12-month data set because no one is on site. We do accept that. So definitely contact us with a description of your situation, how you feel like it's a challenge or barrier to you to pursuing or maintaining your certification, and we'll help determine a solution for you. For certified projects, GBCI will also grant requests for extensions to submit annual data or lengthen the reporting period for your annual data maintenance. If you're a certified project and can no longer meet one or more of our MPRs due to the pandemic for any reason, you should contact us describing your situation and which MPRs are affected. Again, we're really dedicated to supporting you, and while also helping you retain your certification, so solutions may be available. So keep in touch with us, even if your diversion performance has been negatively impacted or you no longer meet our requirements. So the bottom line is, if you're holding off on submitting your application to get started with true pre-certification or certification, or you're holding off on sending us annual data to maintain your certification, you may not have to contact us. So another bit of news last year is we launched pilot credits for the first time for True. Pilot credits are a group of credits that are not currently in the rating system, and they're designed to test new innovative zero waste strategies and facilitate the introduction of new credits. Pilot credits can be used in lieu of any existing True credit. All credits in True are worth the same amount. Every credit's worth 1 point each. And these credits are awarded based on you attempting and achieving all of the requirements laid out. So there's space in our True application form for you to submit these if you wish to do so. So everything is there and ready to go to facilitate you submitting for these. So in line with what we were just talking about, one of the pilot credits is a new Safety First pilot credit. This was developed in response to the pandemic, and this pilot credit promotes best practice requirements to support the health and safety of custodial and management workers. The other pilot credit recognizes projects that have someone who has earned the True Advisor credential as a principal participant on their True project team. So all the credits and the requirements are posted to the resources section of our website. So if you're interested in using those, we encourage you to visit our website and download the credits there. So as an organization, we are working on synergies between the various programs. And one of those is aligning and integrating programs such as True with the LEED rating system. We believe net zero is a powerful target that will move the entire industry forward with LEED. So we now have a net zero certification program called LEED Zero. And one of the recognitions is LEED Zero Waste, which is tied to True. True Platinum projects can achieve LEED Zero Waste if they've also achieved LEED certification for the facility. LEED Zero Waste certification fees are now waived through June 30th, as long as you've paid the registration and certification fees for both programs. So there's an article on our website about this fee waiver if you want to learn more, and also the link to the LEED Zero program is at the bottom of this slide. We're continuing to work on synergies between LEED, ARC, True, and other GBCI rating systems to make your experience between the programs more seamless and rewarding. So stay tuned for more exciting announcements on that this year. Another new offering we have is True for Events. So here at USGBC, GBCI, one of our mottos is all in, meaning we want to ensure our programs are open for all types of projects to get recognized. We were seeing some interest from events that have achieved zero waste, including our own Greenville conference, which we're proud to say has been certified several years in a row. So we created a guidance document to better support and inform the certification process and adjustments to the credit requirements to make sense for events. The events guidance document can be found on the resources page of our website, and that has all of the details on getting an event certified as zero waste. And we'll be working on other adaptations and offerings for other types of sites and operations this year and in the coming years, so stay tuned. So perhaps the biggest news we've had in the last year is the development of a more incremental approach to certification. We've heard from interested leaders in the market about their desire to engage with True, but were unable to do so as they did not have the required amount of data compiled, or they had not yet achieved the minimum 90% diversion rate to be eligible for True certification. Similarly, we were also receiving interest from early True adopters who have already been certified on their desire to demonstrate continued improvements in the program. in their program and performance. So from this feedback, we realized that the life cycle of a project provides numerous opportunities to recognize commitment to zero waste goals, from the planning phase to the maintenance and improvement of existing work. So leadership is not confined to the moment of certification, but it's a journey demonstrated by taking the first step towards zero waste, implementing policies, making incremental progress on diversion rates, achieving zero waste, and then engaging in a process of continuous improvement after achieving zero waste. To support this goal, last year, GBCI launched True pre-certification and recertification to recognize projects from the beginning of their journey to zero waste and beyond. So pre-certification is an optional pathway that recognizes projects that have implemented the fundamental actions and policies needed to effectively pursue zero waste and have demonstrated a commitment to achieving true certification. Pre-certification is available to all projects at any state of diversion performance. There is no minimum diversion rate required, so you can be 0% diversion. For the requirements for pre-certification, we prioritize the core actions that are essential to getting a successful start towards zero waste. We wanted to focus on more intents and strategies, so we included many action-based requirements to encourage forward progress in your program. And to achieve pre-certification, you must submit strategies or complete actions addressing a subset of 5 true minimum program requirements and 9 true credits. More details on all of that can be found in our pre-certification guidance document, which can be found on the resources page of our website. So recertification, on the other side of the spectrum, recognizes projects that engage in continuous improvement process and demonstrate leadership after achieving true certification by maintaining or improving their zero waste efforts. Recertification encourages you to monitor performance data of your site and demonstrate that your facility is performing as intended and beyond. Certified projects may recertify by providing annual performance data demonstrating that the project continues to meet program requirements. And projects may also recertify to maintain their certification after a move to a new building or property, or to pursue additional credits to upgrade their previous certification level, thus gaining additional recognition. Another thing we did as part of the incremental certification effort was to clarify the requirements for you around maintaining certification. One of the reasons to recertify may be to maintain certification status for those that have reached the end of the certification validity term. Policies on when the certification expires and how to maintain certification will differ based on when your project was registered. So for projects registered on or after September 1st, 2020, true certification will remain valid for 3 years. The certification is maintained by complying with the annual data requirements and recertifying every 3 years. If you submit data annually as required, you will maintain certification in good standing, and reduced fees to recertify will apply. If your annual data is not provided for 3 consecutive years and you don't recertify by that 3-year anniversary, your project will no longer be considered certified, and you'll need to pay additional fees in order to reinstate the certification. For projects registered before September 1st, 2020, your certification has no set term of validity as long as you maintain certification by complying with the annual data requirements. And again, if your data is not provided for 3 consecutive years, you will no longer be considered certified, and you'll be required to recertify to reinstate the certification. However, you can also choose to recertify to increase your certification level or after a facility move. In this case, your new certification will be valid for 3 years and subject to the policy for projects registered on or after September 1st, 2020. The first true project to be pre-certified was Cisco's RTP campus, which is located in North Carolina. It has 12 buildings that include office, food service, and data centers. The campus has committed to a zero waste goal and achieved a 76% diversion rate before pre-certification. And they really decided to pursue pre-certification in order to have that all-important early win to show employees and their leadership that the campus has the framework and commitment to become a true certified site in the near future. To achieve the last 14% to get to 90% diversion and true certification, they plan on developing better employee education and training, waste sorting, post-collection, and further reduction actions. Another case study I wanted to share was one site that has completed recertification, and that's the Titan America cement plant in Virginia. They achieved a 96% diversion rate and silver certification with 38 points. And 1 year later, they increased their diversion rate by 2 percentage points and became recertified at the gold level at 59 points. So there were many new actions and steps they took to get to the gold level, but one of the big ones that earned them a lot of points was developing a purchasing policy and doing more purchasing actions for zero waste. They also worked on communications to employees. They did some more extensive audits and started composting to earn additional points. And they are aiming to recertify again. So they will sort of end their recertification journey with, or their upgrade journey, I should say, with the platinum level. So you can recertify multiple times. So for both pre-certification and recertification, as I hinted at earlier, there are guidance documents. These are posted to the resources page of the TRU website. It has all the details on the process and the requirements. And the guidance on the maintenance and recertification has more details on your certification validity and maintaining certification. We also have a recorded webinar with CE Hours that goes into more detail on both of these on the Education Hub. So if you're already certified, I just wanted to give you a few reminders. Make sure you submit your case study if you haven't yet. Celebrate your certification, make an announcement, hold a virtual celebration, and we're here to support you in all of that. And if you haven't gotten your free certificate yet from our plaque vendor, Green Plaque, make sure you go and order that. You can send us an email if you don't have that link anymore. Also, we encourage you to create a project profile for our website and to stay up to date with us. As you see, we're a fast-moving program, so it's important to stay up to date by subscribing to our e-newsletters and keep joining these community calls. One note I did want to make is that in June 2020, we sort of rebranded to drop the words zero waste after TRU. It reflects how we're transitioning away from seeing materials as a waste to seeing materials resources. So any of your communications about us, just use TRU instead of TRU zero waste. And we have a trademarking guidelines document with more details with language to use for TRU and how to use our logos. And that's on the resources page of our website. On a related note, last year we released a TRU logo for manufacturers to place on their products. We wanted you to have the ability to proudly display your zero waste accomplishments and commitments to sustainability to your customers and beyond. So if you're interested in using these logo on your products, please send an email to tru@gbci.org. Okay, so I'm going to close out talking a little bit about planning for certification and some tools and resources we have for you on that. As a first step in the planning process, we recommend that you learn all you can about our program by visiting our website, watching our courses. We have a great intro to zero waste video or intro to TRU video on the USGBC Education Hub, and read our guide to certification because that really outlines our process and our program. We also just recently published an article to help you determine your timeline for certification. It really goes into detail about our process and the associated timeline. So if you have a certain goal date or deadline in mind to earn certification by, we really recommend you read this article. It provides a lot of great guidance. Another way to educate yourself on TRU and zero waste in general is our TRU Advisor professional certificate program. We really recommend going through this for the best understanding of the TRU rating system and credits and zero waste in general. And as you saw earlier, you can earn a pilot credit if somebody has this credential. And anyone can be a TRU advisor. There's no eligibility requirements to participate. It's a self-paced, on-demand online training. So if you're interested, you can go to our website and sign up there. So earlier this year, we launched a new Excel tool that can be used to conduct a TRU credit gap analysis, estimate point totals, and start planning next steps. And you can download the tool off the resources page of our website. This tool is meant for one building or site, but we may develop one for multiple sites for those of you who have a portfolio of projects. This tool is really similar to the LEED scorecard in that it allows you to quickly see your point totals and make an assessment of how feasible certification is in your generally assess your standing. So the planning tool isn't a required part of the certification process. It's just helpful for you to get started on your journey. The tool can be used to conduct gap analysis along with your various other zero waste audits in order to determine which credits may be earned by current activities or what can be earned by implementing new policies and practices. So it really gives you a good picture of your progress towards certification and zero waste in general. So now I'm actually going to bring up the tool and give you a brief little tour of it. Just one second here. So the first step would be to just go ahead and fill in your information here so you can kind of track which project the analysis is attached to. And for each minimum program requirement and credit, there's a status column next to that. And in this status column, there's a drop-down menu where you can select yes, maybe, or no, whether you think you're meeting this credit or not. I do recommend to reference the true rating system for the required actions to achieve each of these, because the credit title doesn't always capture all of the requirements. In the notes column here, you can add any notes, comments, questions in order to organize and prioritize next steps. The form is unlocked, so you can add additional columns here to further assist your organization in planning. And then the MPRs and credits that are required for pre-certification are marked with a little P here. So if you have all of those marked yes, pre-certification may be a good thing for you if you're not quite ready for certification yet. And then you simply would just scroll back up to the top and you can see your point totals for each section and your overall point totals. So this is just a really great tool to give you an overview. All the instructions I just went over here are here in the form on the left-hand side as well. So that's it for me. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and hand it back to Susie for some Q&A.
Thank you so much, Emily. So it looks like from my view, Emily, you may see people like raise their hand potentially, but if you would like to be called on, or if you would like to say something, please use the chat. I know I want to thank Sue for prompting the discussion around Earth Day planning. We all know that's coming up next week, and great to know that Home Depot takes back those empty little plastic containers that you know, anything you're potting might come in, because I looked at the bottom and mine are number 5 and number 6, which don't get recycled where I live. So I will have to look into that. Let's see. Becca has a question. Can we use true certification process towards lead green associate CE? So I think, Becca, I know you're already earning the True Advisor, so I'll just start there. The True Advisor professional credential does earn you 7.5 hours of lead continuing education credit for that credit maintenance that you have to do every 2 years. So but it does not automatically report itself. So just go ahead and self-report that you've taken the True Advisor, put in 7.5 hours, and a link to the True Advisor website, and GBCI will approve those. They are not, unfortunately, if you need lead specific credential maintenance hours, the True Advisor does not count towards that, but they certainly do count towards your group of general CEs that you need. Great question. Anybody have any specific topics? I know we kind of took the general survey about you know, what we want to talk about in our future calls, but we'd love to hear some more of that from the audience as well. All right, we have 6 minutes, so lots of time to answer a couple of questions here. Getting clients to listen and stay on track. That's a great topic, Doreen. I think, you know, Sue gave us a little bit of insight into that today, but certainly hearing a little bit more from our community and how they're able to do that. I think you know, part of the reason I love the True certification system so much, even if I didn't work for True, is that a lot of the practices that you put in and policies become ingrained in a culture. And so it helps to kind of keep that in place. So I think culture is a really difficult thing to influence and change, but that's really maybe a great topic we can talk about, is like zero waste culture. It can help keep things stay on track.
Susie, I unmuted.
Yeah, great.
I was thinking a couple different things with this, and the population has to sort of help dictate. So please put information in the chat. But even, you know, reduction, right? So how do I track reduction? Can I track reduction? If I have a corporate goal on reduction and I add in reduction, does that mean I'm going in reverse of what I'm trying to do? So that might be a great topic.
Yeah.
And we can bring in through all of our networking experts to speak on different topics. But as a community, we want everyone to speak up of what they're interested in so that this has value to you. I mean, I know a lot of us are virtually out. I sign up for webinars, and if I'm lucky, I can listen. But I do go back and listen to the recordings when I have time. But it's meant to be a community event. And so how do we get the population to sort of, what am I interested in? What am I having trouble with? How do I know about these resins? And I learned something new while we've got a couple minutes. So life science, and this is interesting. Life science, I went to the procurement department and talked about changing ones and twos. And did you know that anything that's being manufactured from life science, a medicine, anything that's got an FDA requirement, they cannot change any of the packaging or any of the plastics at all. So then you got to step back a little bit more. So research and development, right? All of the COVID stuff. Boy, I wish I had a quarter for every time I've thought about, we should have started this a year ago, talking to the labs about 1 and 2 plastics, right? Because again, they've already gone to the FDA, they've gotten approval to give us shots, and we can't change any of the packaging that's associated with it. So we've got to step back a step further, and this is all about redesign and rethinking, to before they start working on new items, I'm work with procurement to say all new things need to be 1 and 2s. How do you roll that out? And that's part of zero waste purchasing of your EPP policy or guideline, but it all ties in. And how do we get people involved? And so what are the things you need to do? One other thing, and I just had this happen. My son bought a TV. In this day and age, we're in 2021. I started this in 1993. They are gluing polyethylene to cardboard still. So when you go to peel it off, I have 2 different things. I have polyethylene stuck on cardboard and cardboard stuck on polyethylene. And now I'm trying to chisel it with a razor blade. Why is that happening still? So all of us on this call and everyone we work with as we communicate needs to work on how do we make change? And it's just a little thing. Anyway, off on a tangent.
No, it's great to hear. I think that redesign theme is so common, and we need to keep focusing on it. I did see a couple other things in the chat though that talked about reduction. I really appreciate that True does award reduction. So how do you get there? How do you account for it? Our True Core concept that was on reduction really focused on the credits, but maybe just to hear a few more of the nitty gritty strategies, day-to-day experiences of folks. We can pull some of that together because we definitely have a lot of good examples from our certified projects. All right. The green infrastructure plan. I love this. So yeah, I think there could be a really great opportunity for us to do a whole, or half of a session for one of these calls on, what are the policies right now? How do those, relate to customers and people pursuing True? We certainly are supportive of, circular economy and green jobs here that are promoting better use of materials and EPR and some of those things. So that might be a fun topic to dive deeper into. But I can see we're at the top of the hour. So I just wanted to say thank you to everyone that joined. We appreciate your participation. We'd love to see this community grow. So please share it with your friends, colleagues, etc. We do have True community calls scheduled. The Eventbrites are already listed. You can find all of those on our website, and go ahead and register for them now. Save them on your calendar, save the date. And hopefully we look forward to seeing you there. Maybe we'll see some of you in the True LinkedIn group. My colleague Sumner in marketing posts a lot there. So it'd be great to get some other voices in that room. So Thanks again, everybody. Thank you, Sue. Thank you, Emily, for providing awesome content. And just look forward to the next time we can all get together. Everybody stay safe and well, and talk to you soon.